Hi everyone. I wanted to, and I need to talk about the fight that's happening in on the right of politics. We have now James Paterson saying some things that are about not being aligned with Nigel Farage or Donald Trump, and we also have, I guess, Barnaby Joyce deciding that he's had enough of the national parties, he's irrelevant in terms of the Nationals and the coalition, and he now wants to move to the further right of politics. He wants to kind of, I guess, take over the role of Pauline Hanson. This is something which must fascinate us all, because we're watching the coalition and the right of politics implode before our very eyes, and that there is no way that they could ever emulate or even attempt to emulate what happens on the right in the United States and the UK. So they're busily fighting amongst themselves for a position of relevancy. And now we have an interesting clip, which I have to play for you, from Sky News, where they're arguing and debating this very issue. It makes for great viewing if you're a fan of Sky News, and it makes you great viewing if you're a progressive such as myself. So I'm going to invite you to have a look at this particular clip, and I can simply say, enjoy.
By the destruction of, our wildlife habitats and our farmland, they need to go and get that whole conservative platform program worked out, because it's just simply not going to happen under Susan Ley in the Liberals.
Yeah, okay. If I can just pick up on a point you said earlier, that you have a lot of time for James Paterson. I agree with you, but I would change to the past tense. I had a lot of time for James Paterson, one of the great conservative warriors of past years. But to come out in the middle of all this and say that we do not want to be Farage light, not that Farage light is even a thing, but anyway, what he means is we don't want to go down the same route as like a Donald Trump or a Nigel Farage, two of the most successful politicians of the modern era.
I think this is fascinating, because this is simply a fight between the far right and the right. And there seems to be a division happening here within Sky News that is just simply entertaining.
Certainly on the conservative side of things. So he's basically abandoned Australia, James Patterson.
Well, no, I don't think that's fair.
I'm sorry,
if
he has.
James Patterson is too wet for you.
No.
Here they go. I love watching Rita here. So Rita's looking down at her piece of paper, wishing she just was not a part of this discussion.
James Patterson
yes, he's way too wet for me.
Okay, well,
when
that's
the
where we
front
are.
page of his own homepage says "Road to Ruin," Farage Conservatives going Farage light. Road to ruin. They're strong words. He's dissing the entire reform agenda in Britain. We'll be talking to Andrew Neil shortly, and we'll be talking about this specifically.
Road to ruin.
Farage represents anti-net zero policies. That's his single policy, anti-net zero.
Farage represents a lot of Farage
and anti-immigration.
Migration.
You've had your say.
Okay.
Let me have mine.
Again, just observe Rita. Fascinating.
I say, okay, to say that you're coming out and saying that it is wrong for the Liberal Party, the coalition, to go down the Farage route, to say that, forget the other stuff you might have said, but to say that is absolutely devastating to the Conservatives in this country, because he's basically saying the two big issues, immigration and net zero, we're going to stay where we are in our Labor light route. That is a disaster. And yes, Paterson is a bedwetter, way too bedwetting for me now. That was his choice, not my choice. And to actually boast of being anti-Farage, if you are a coalition conservative in this country, is madness.
What
Rita.
country does he think he lives in? What country do these libs, these bedwetters, think they live in? We had a referendum.
I love the way, don't you just love the way that now they're referring to these people as bedwetters? They're just, this is the right wing in Australia, emulated by Sky News, is, you've got to admit, it's a joke.
Referendum 2 years ago, they should have told them what country we live in. But no, they seem to think we're in some sort of leftist utopia where they can only become elected if they lurch further left. You lurched left at the last election and you saw the result. There was hardly any difference between Labor and the Liberals, and we saw what happened. We've seen what's happened over and over in Victoria.
So the argument basically they're putting forward, which they object to greatly, is that if you move further and further to the right, for some particular reason, given the election, their last election, and how much they were decimated, for some reason they have this obscure but relentless view that they can make a difference by going more Farage and more Trump. That even though it's evident, there are polls out that says that Australians will not vote for anything that resembles Farage or Trump, particularly Trump. And yet, Sky News seem to insist over and over again that this is the direction that we should go. And when you get a moderate like James Patterson talking about the direction that he would like to see the Liberal Party go, these people object greatly, because there's nothing worse for them than suggesting that being a moderate is what the Australian public want. And Sky News push against that all the time. And at some point, even Murdoch has to realise, Lachlan preferably, has to realise that this is not the way to go in terms of selling the news. Because there'll be people, there's a certain group of people on the right who will accept what these idiots are saying on Sky. But the majority of Australians disagree. And that because we disagree, it simply means that as long as you take those positions, you're never ever going to win another election. You're just not. You have to find either different political issues to fight for, or you have to choose to become a little bit more moderate. And they will refuse to do so simply because, I guess, a leopard just cannot change its spots. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Is there any chance, do you think, that the right wing of media will try and find a position that's more adaptable, more appropriate, I guess more reasonable for the Australian people to consume than the current direction that they're taking? Let me know. I'd be delighted to hear from you. Take care, everybody.